I asked you guys on Instagram what dog treats you would like me to rank, and you didn't disappoint. I got over 100 responses, and some of these brands I've never actually looked into, so you're going to get my raw, unedited, and unfiltered opinions on these treats. But before we jump in, if you're new here, I'm Dr. Wolf, veterinarian and food therapist for pets. I help take the guesswork out of feeding your pet, so if you want more content like this, be sure to hit the subscribe button. Let's get started. Okay, the first treat on my list are Greenies, super popular dental chew. I can see right on the front of the packaging that these have the VOHC seal, which basically means they are clinically shown to reduce plaque and tartar. Anytime we're picking a dental chew, we do want to make sure it's actually going to work, so that's really important. But I'm also going to be looking at the ingredients and the calories to see if this is a treat that's worth feeding. I'm specifically looking at the regular size treat that's labeled for 25 to 50 pound dogs. This dental chew has 91 calories. And it's interesting because, again, this is labeled for dogs that are 25 to 50 pounds. But if I calculate how many calories should come from treats for a 25-pound dog, the maximum amount that should come from treats is only 69 calories a day. So if you feed one Greenie, you're already exceeding your pet's treat calorie limit, and that can lead to weight gain if you're just adding this on top of their meals and not considering the additional calories. Now, before I give my final ranking, I want to mention that I am a bit biased when it comes to Greenies because in practice, I've seen a lot of dogs come in with hemorrhagic gastroenteritis, which is a long fancy term basically for severe bloody diarrhea after eating Greenies. And a lot of those dogs still had really bad teeth. So oftentimes I just feel like the benefits from these don't outweigh the risks of potential weight gain, potential stomach upset. So Greenies are actually not a treat that I typically recommend. I suggest brushing the teeth and keeping up with annual dental cleanings. So with all of that said, I rate Greenies with a D. Look who decided to join the party. You want to rank dog treats too? Yeah? Come on up. Come rank them with me. Okay, next on our list are Bocces, and this is another one that I am gonna be a bit biased on because this is one of my favorite treats that I give my dog, and specifically their training treats because they're super low in calories, so I can already tell you their training treats are an A. But for this ranking, let's look at their soft and chewy treats. So for ingredients, these have oat flour, salmon, rolled oats, coconut glycerin, molasses, flaxseed, sweet potato, parsley, vegetable oil, and citric acid. And they have 9 calories a treat. So for a larger dog, these are probably not gonna be an issue. You could give a few a day and not run into any problems. For my dog, who is pretty small, I don't typically give these because they are a bit higher in calories, but if I do, I break them into smaller pieces. But overall, I would give this one an A. Okay, next on my list, Snausages. Are they even still in business? Let's see what's in these. Oh my gosh, I just can tell by the front of the bag I'm gonna hate it, but let's look at the ingredients. So these contain beef, meat byproducts, and I actually just want to go ahead and stop right there and talk about byproducts for a second. There is a lot of talk out there about how byproducts are like all of the diseased meats and things like that. That's not true. Byproducts are just the internal organs that humans often don't eat, but are actually very nutritious and are not necessarily a bad addition for pet food and pet treats. The problem with this ingredient in particular is the term meat. When they're not identifying what species that's coming from, it can pretty much be anything. And that's a problem for 2 reasons. Number 1, sourcing and quality. If you can't even identify what type of meat you're putting in the treat, that puts up a lot of red flags for me. And number 2, this is also going to mean that we don't know what type of protein your pet has been exposed to. If you're giving these treats and your pet needs a novel protein diet trial in the future, we're gonna have no idea what they've been exposed to, and that can make things really challenging. So I always suggest to avoid any food or treats that contain meat meal or meat byproducts. Okay, moving on. These treats also contain sugar, salt, added color, potassium sorbate as a preservative, and titanium dioxide. I literally don't understand why titanium dioxide is still allowed in pet food and treats. It's listed as a possible carcinogen. It can increase inflammation in the GI tract. It can disrupt the gut microbiome, and it has no nutritional benefit. It's just added in there to make the color of the treat whiter. I would never feed a treat with titanium dioxide to my own pets. I wouldn't recommend it to my patients. Now, is it gonna hurt your pet to give them this every once in a while? Probably not, but some people are giving these treats to their pet every single day for years on end, and we don't have long-term safety data to prove that that's not going to have a negative effect on your pet's health. So I'm sorry, Snausages, but you're gonna have to get an F. All right, next up are Crumps. I've never heard of this brand, so let's see what they're all about. Front of the bag says 3 calories per treat. love that. And that there's 0 artificial flavors or preservatives. So let's check out this ingredient list. Chicken, molasses, brown rice flour, rolled oats, flaxseed, guar gum, and rosemary. Pretty limited ingredient treats, which can be helpful for a lot of dogs, especially if they have food sensitivities. However, guar gum actually could potentially increase gastrointestinal inflammation in susceptible or sensitive pets. So if your pet has any sort of GI sensitivities, I'd probably avoid this treat, but I like that it's a very limited ingredient treat. I like that it's only 3 calories, so I would rank this one with a B. Next up are Beggin Strips, and I already know what I'm gonna rank this one, but let's just go over the ingredients and the calories together for funsies. When I look at this ingredient list, I just see a lot of low quality, cheap things that they're throwing in here that aren't necessarily going to benefit your pet's health. It also contains BHA, which is listed as a possible carcinogen, and added coloring, which has 0 health benefits for your pet. It's just put in there to make you, the consumer, look at the treat and go, oh, it looks like bacon. It doesn't do anything for your pet, right? It's just to make the sale. And these have 36 calories per piece, which is actually quite high, especially if you're feeding this to a small dog. For example, a 10-pound dog should have a maximum of 35 treat calories per day, assuming they have average activity and they're at a healthy weight. So if you feed them 1 Beggin Strip, you've already exceeded that. So based on all of that and the fact that these are not going to contribute positively to your pet's health, I'm gonna rate Beggin Strips with an F. Next up are Honest Kitchen's Ocean Chews, and I really like Honest Kitchen as a brand, so I assume I'm also going to like their treats, but let's take a look at it. So their Ocean Chews are 1 ingredient, highly digestible, and human grade cod skins. Love all of that. Anytime you can opt for human grade treats or food, go for it. But let's see how many calories are in these chews. So they have 2 different sizes. They have a small chew that has 24 calories and a large chew that has 40 calories. Depending on the size of your dog, again, these may exceed their calorie limit for treats, but if your dog is kind of chewing on this throughout the day and you're being mindful of their total calorie consumption from treats, I don't necessarily have a problem with these, especially because your dog is gonna be getting a little bit more nutrition than they would from, say, a 40-calorie Beggin Strip. The one thing I'll mention with any sort of dehydrated or freeze-dried type of treat is that there is still a small risk of foodborne illness and pathogen transmission, things like bacteria, so be mindful of that. But I would rate the Honest Kitchen Ocean Chews with an A. Milkbones are up next. Let's see what these 5 delicious flavors are. Okay, so these treats contain ground whole wheat, wheat flour, meat and bone meal. Remember what I said about meat meal? It's mystery meat. We don't know what protein sources that is composed of. Beef fat preserved with BHA, BHT, so a little sprinkling of possible carcinogens. Poultry byproduct meal, at least it's labeled. Turkey byproduct meal, at least that's labeled as well. Salt, chicken meal, bacon fat, dicalcium phosphate malt extract, malted barley flour. We've got some added vitamins and minerals, sodium metabisulfite, used as a preservative, added color, and some more BHA sprinkled on top. Sodium metabisulfite is another artificial preservative that can potentially increase GI irritation and may increase oxidative stress in the body. And this is a treat that so many people feed every single day. I even see this one in vet clinics a lot of the times. And there's nothing in this. I mean, sure, you're getting some added vitamins and minerals, but you don't need that if your pet is already on a complete and balanced diet. Like, that's not making this treat healthy. And so much of the other stuff in this treat is doing nothing positive for your pet. It's exposing them to proteins that we have absolutely no idea what they are. And these have 23 calories each. So you're giving your pet 23 empty calories of something that's not going to improve their health. It's actually more likely to harm their health, especially if you're giving it every day on a long-term basis. I really hate this treat, and if I could rank it lower than an F, I would. So when I talk about treats with my patients in clinical practice or through my nutrition consultations, I always talk about the fact that our pets' treats are like our snacks. And if we are going into the pantry every single day and we're choosing to eat Lay's potato chips or a Snickers bar or whatever other nutrient deficient snack of your choosing, that is likely to have a negative effect on our health over time. The same thing goes with our pets. If we are feeding them Milkbones and Beggin Strips and Snausages every single day for a decade of their life, I highly doubt that that's going to have any sort of positive effect on their life. Most likely it's going to contribute to weight gain, increase oxidative stress in their body, accelerate aging, and may even disrupt their microbiome, which is linked to so many areas of health. So one of the simplest things that you can do as a pet parent is to make healthy treat swaps. If you need packaged treats, opt for the ones that I ranked as an A or a B in this video, but ideally stick to things like pet-safe fruits and vegetables, things like blueberries, raspberries, spinach, kale, collard greens, or even squash and bell peppers as treats for your pets. These are low calorie, they're high in fiber, they're rich in antioxidants, and they're actually going to contribute positively to your pet's health rather than negatively like so many of these junk food treats on the market. If you have other treats you'd like for me to rank in a future video, drop them in the comments and let me know what you think. Do you agree with my rankings or would you rank these treats differently?